With Atomic Heart's release date less than a month away, we need to talk about everything we know so far about one of February's most anticipated games. Atomic Heart has been at the top of my list for quite some time, especially after they revealed it back in 2018. It kind of just popped off to me, and it was one of those I knew I had to learn more about. So let's talk about what exactly it is. So Atomic Heart is an upcoming FPS from Mundfish that sends players into an alternate reality where the Soviet Union is still alive and well. They're thriving, in fact. And there was a technical revolution that took place where robots, the internet, holograms have already been invented. So essentially they're living in like the year 3000, but they still have the presence of communism, imperialism, and all of the Cold War political aspects are still present. Now, robots have been mass produced, right? They're helping with every single aspect of life, including defending the nation. So it's very like iRobot-like, right? You can go get a robot, helps with dinner, all that fun stuff. And as with every robot theme, they have begun to rebel for some mysterious reason. Now, players are going to take the role of P3, a mentally unstable KGB agent. The government has sent you in to investigate a manufacturing facility that went silent overnight. Now, as you arrive, you basically sort of immediately learn that everything is pretty much screwed. Mutants and robots are running rampant, killing anyone who enters the facility, and it's your job to figure out why. Now, the world of Atomic Heart, again, takes place in the Soviet Union, as previously mentioned, but the big question is, how much can we actually explore? Well, that's still a big question, because right now, we know the world is a, quote, vast circle, which encompasses the Arctic to the north and the Altai Mountain to the south, with plains, lakes, and much more in the middle, end quote. That all sounds awesome. However, we don't know if we're going to be able to explore all of that area or if some of it will be cut off and just featured as backdrop. But what we do know is that the game will feature tons of different biomes and that parts of Plant 3826 will be spread out all over the map so players can tackle them in any order that you want to. So to me, this sounds like a pretty good sized world to explore. You can't quite go to every mountain you see on the horizon, but there's a ton to see between you and that mountain. Sort of like Halo Infinite. That's kind of what's, coming to mind as I go through and I describe this. So here we can see a picture of the map. It has points of interest, has buildings, even some active camera counter that we might need to locate or disable. I'm not entirely sure, but here's sort of what we're looking at. This was pulled from IGN. And also throughout the world in the campaign are puzzles and boss arenas. Now, we don't know a ton about these yet, but the playtesters at IGN really enjoyed what they were able to experience so far. And in terms of difficulty, the game is built to be a hardcore shooter, meaning it will not be a cakewalk, but there are some different difficulty settings you can choose from. Now, if you choose normal, be expected to die a few times while you figure out how to survive. If you choose story, it'll be a little bit easier while you figure out what happened at Plant 3826. Now, when it comes to combat in Atomic Heart, this is what reeled me in back in 2018. The game features some very crazy over-the-top combat involving melee weapons, ranged weapons, and this magical kind of power glove that gives you some really cool superpowers. This is where the BioShock comparisons come from, in my opinion. This glove will let you do things like pick up multiple enemies, slam them into the ground, shoot out chain lightning, encase targets in ice, even slow them down with this white polymer fluid. Now, melee combat is what you're going to be doing most of the time, because ammo is not infinite according to early playtesters, so your approach needs to be more balanced. Don't go in and just blow all of your ammo and expecting to find more wherever you're at. You want to be able to use melee as well. And while that might push some players away, just know that these melee weapons aren't just like a standard fire axe. Instead, these are some pretty wild inventions and combinations that sort of let you slay in style, right? You have supercharged cleavers, you have multi-layered axes, you have maces, you have a stick that lets you control multiple razor blades that fly around in the air. So you have all kinds of different ways to disassemble your robot enemies that use a multitude of elemental attacks. You have frost attacks that weaken armor, you have incendiary bullets to deal extra fire damage, you have polymer to add some extra conductivity to your target, and lightning can really cause some damage. So that's melee combat. Now, range combat is just as weird. So from the gameplay we've seen, You do have standard guns like an AK-47, but then you have rail guns, guns that shoot ball lightning, and again, just weird combinations that are perfect at long-range termination. But just because you have like this Inspector Gadget arsenal from hell doesn't mean that the game is a walk in the park. Remember those difficulty settings and the fact that this is a hardcore shooter. Each robot is like the Terminator. They're going to keep coming back again and again and again, no matter how many appendages you hack off or how many times you stop them with lead. They're going to keep coming until they are a scrap heap. So get ready for some battles. Now, from what we know, IGN playtesters mentioned that these enemies do set the tone right out of the gate. They're an immediate threat and will make you feel inferior in terms of killing capability right from the get-go. But with all that being said, this isn't a Souls-like game, so not all is lost, right? As you play and as you level up, you're going to earn new skills, you're going to find new ways to survive, unlock new weapons, and also unlock crafting. Now, one last thing about combat. The enemies in this game are all sort of this like hive mind known as the Collective. And this is going to create a very interesting dynamic to keep in mind. So as you fight and cause more of a ruckus, your alert level will go up. And with that, more enemies will appear. And I'm also guessing stronger enemies will appear because the Collective is going to try to neutralize you, the threat. Now, this immediately reminds me of like Stars and Grand Theft Auto, but again, we'll have to see how it works once we're actually in the game. Okay, so let's talk about crafting because I just mentioned that. So right now, we don't know a ton about how this will actually work, but we do know that this game is going to have lots and lots of bits and pieces to collect to upgrade your arsenal. Now, you can use your power glove to vacuum up all of the crafting materials in a room very quickly. We've seen a lot of gameplay footage of this, but they did say you need to be careful about how much you pick up because your inventory can fill up just as quick and you'll become overburdened, and no one likes that. That's an issue, right? You are encumbered. So weapons themselves range from makeshift items that can be assembled from various parts that have detached from robots or have been taken from household appliances. Now, while others are these sort of like high-tech whimsical devices that harness futuristic technology, you do have those pretty kind of basic rudimentary ones that remind you of like Metro. So here, let's take a look at the weapon screen. Again, this one is from IGN and one of their gameplay showcases. So we have a lot to break down here. So along the left-hand side, we have three core components of the weapon. So in this case, we have the disc, the upper blade, and the lower blade. Now the lower blade has a reflex booster, whatever that is, and it looks like this can be upgraded and enhanced. Now along the bottom of the screen, we have bronze, silver, and gold columns. Now some of these items are checked. This has me wondering if we'll get different versions of the same weapon where we want to search for optimal versions for our own playstyle. And you can upgrade each individual piece of the weapon to become more and more powerful. So this is pretty short and light on info for now, but from what we can see, we'll be able to piece together and upgrade weapons to our liking. Hopefully this is a pretty flexible system that allows players to get creative, hopefully, fingers crossed. Now the developer did mention that players will be able to gather all kinds of different parts to build super powerful weapons. So this has me wondering if this is going to be like a legendary weapon, right? You find all these different kind of legendary core components, and then once you collect them all, you'll be able to go to a workbench and actually craft the thing. So that'll give us something to chase after or, get excited about a specific drop or farm a specific boss. Again, we're not entirely sure. This is all speculation, so keep that in mind. Next, let's talk about progression. In a recent gameplay video, we got to see a sneak peek at skills and character trees. Now, while they didn't go into like huge detail for each one of these, we can see that each skill does have its own tree of things to unlock. Now, I'm guessing we're going to earn points as we level up or as we use those skills, and then we can spend those points to unlock certain passives. Again, we don't have the intricate details on how all of this works, but it is good to know that there will be some variety to how you build your character. And this was even further reinforced by the developer in that same gameplay video. He mentioned that you can build your character how you want to focus on certain gameplay aspects. Like if you want to be someone who focuses heavy on glove skills, a certain elemental type, or a specific weapon type, or if you want to be more defensive or more offensive. Those are all possibilities using this progression system. So let's talk about a couple miscellaneous things before we wrap this one up. So one thing that I see a lot of people get really excited about, they're like, oh man, I can't wait to play Atomic Heart because of this thing. It's that the soundtrack for this game is done by Doom soundtrack composer Mick Gordon. So people are extremely excited to see what he's able to do in this kind of similar, I'll say, world. So that's something, if you're a big Mick Gordon person, that's something to look forward to. Now, the other thing is Vulkan. How can we pre-order it? How can we buy it? Is there a difference in versions? All of that fun stuff. So Atomic Heart is going to come in 3 editions: Standard, Gold, and Premium. Now, Standard is going to have the game plus an axe skin and a pistol skin. Gold will have the game, those 2 skins we mentioned earlier, and a glove skin, and include the future DLC. And then Premium, which has everything previously mentioned, plus an AK skin, a Vesdochka skin, and a digital art book. Now, the Standard Edition is $60, the Gold Edition is $89, and the Premium is $99. So guys, that's about it. That's really everything we know about Atomic Heart so far. I've gone through and watched hours, tens of hours of footage, trying to figure all this stuff out, read through all the interviews and everything, and this is truly everything we have right now at the time of this video. Will there be more closer to launch? I'm not entirely sure, maybe, but the devs did mention that they wanted people to go out and actually explore and figure things out themselves. So maybe not, I'm not entirely sure, but either way, this is looking like a really cool game. I really like kind of the feel and the vibe they're going for with it. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about Atomic Heart? Does this look like a game that's going to be fun? Does it look like Fallout, BioShock, kind of its own thing? Let me know in the comment section below as to whether or not you're going to play it and what this game reminds you of. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like Atomic Heart and want to see more of this type of content, please like, subscribe, and share. And as always, this has been Vulkan, and I'll talk to you guys next time.